And good night, YouTube. Welcome to Mindful Life 202. Yep, we're moving well along. Tomorrow is today. We're moving well along. It is the 27th of March, and I am very surprised by that fact. I feel like it was last week that I said February finished, and now we're looking at the end of March already, the third month in the year. Wait, so we quarter way through the year already? That's what you trying to tell me we quarter way through the year? When it's Tobago Day again, Tobago Day is Wednesday. Positive, send me, if you have the link to the entirety of the report, send me the entirety of the report. But I saw news on the report, and I saw where they said that some Tobago businesses were saying that there's a disconnect between the Airbridge Cal and the hoteliers and the business people in Tobago. There's a disconnect because Cal complains that they have empty seats on some of their trips. And they're losing money on the empty seats. They're losing money on the trip anyway, and then they're losing even extra on village council elections. Good luck in that. So what position are you going up for? And then they're losing extra when the seats are empty. But then people are complaining that at peak times they're unable to get seats. And I think you could kind of look at it and see where they're talking kind of past each other. Cal is saying, well, we're sending out X amount of flights per day, and regularly they're empty. And on Tobago side, they're saying, well, yes, some of those are empty, but at peak times people cannot get flights. It's just a weird dynamic. But Tobago Day is Wednesday. Send me that report though, so we might talk about that a little more in depth tomorrow. But today, something that I noticed today, well, actually I didn't notice it today, I noticed it a while ago, but there was a lady that won a lawsuit out from Laventille. A very interesting lawsuit against WASA. And then there's a response from the minister right after, and then a response from an opposition MP, and we're going to look at some of that. WASA to pay Laventille owner 1.2 million for home destroyed by burst main. The state-owned Water and Sewage Authority has been accused of forcing a homeowner whose property was destroyed by a leaking main to take a case for compensation to trial. Less than 3 months after the Privy Council held a similar lawsuit should not have been appealed as it was bound to fail, a High Court judge expressed similar sentiments in a judgment in which she awarded the homeowner 1.2 million. That figure is likely to balloon to closer to 2 million, as the judge also ordered a total of 6%, 3 in special damages and 3 in general damages, covering the period January 9, 2009 to March 20th, 2023, plus costs. In a ruling on Monday, Justice Joanne Charles held WASA liable for negligence and nuisance for the destruction of Janet Bernard Rousseau's home at Upper Pashley Street, Success Village, Laventille. Rousseau was represented by attorney Keith Scotland and Karine Dookie. Robin Otway and Summer Sandy represented WASA. Now, listen, Trinidad is such a weird place. Trinidad is such a weird place. Good evening, Joyanne Cummings over there on Instagram. Trinidad is such a weird place. To think that attorney Keith Scotland is a member of parliament under the ruling People's National Movement government. He was the representing attorney in the woman who was suing the prosecution, the woman who was suing the WASA, the Water and Sewage Authority, which is run by the PNM-led government. So a member of the government that is in charge of WASA is part of the legal team of a woman who sued WASA. That's just such a strange thing, really and truly. Like, I know what they're going to say. I understand. Yes, he's a lawyer. Yes, he has a job. Yes, he's doing his job in his private cup. I understand. But you must see, like, it can't be me alone. Find something a little strange there. Something is kinda off with that. It's like, it feels like a conflict of interest. Yeah, it feels like it's like you're part of the board of the company, You're part of the board of this company, and then you're assisting the person who is suing the company at the same time. Because as a member of parliament, as an MP, the way how our government is kind of supposed to function, what the general idea of it is supposed to emulate, is that the members of parliament who make up the cabinet are to some extent supposed to function like the board of Trinidad and Tobago, the board of the board of directors of the country. They're the board that is running the country. And if you're a member of this board running the country, how are you then suing the company or part or a sub company of your company? It seems a little off to me. It seems a little off. But anyway, that's not even where it gets worse. I am of the view that the defendant should not have forced the claimant to take this case to trial, given that it was more than likely that her house had been destroyed as a result of the defendant's leaking water main, Charles said in her decision. So, the judge is saying WASA had no need to bring this thing to trial. When you come up here, you see obviously your leaking main obviously did destroy the woman's property. Then okay, you fix it. Why is this going to trial? There is no need to drag the woman through this process when you are obviously responsible for it. And the thing is, the article said it earlier on here. This comes on the heels of a similar ruling that went straight up to the Privy Council. WASA appealed the ruling and then appealed it again straight up to the Privy Council. And the Privy Council buffed them up and said, listen, this makes no sense. Why are you appealing something when it's clearly your fault? You are the authority in charge of this. You are part of the state infrastructure. Fix the people's thing when you spoil it. That seems obvious. Why are you trying to make this more difficult than it needs to be? Especially if you're talking about people that are less fortunate. If someone is less fortunate, who is to say that they're going to have a lawyer? They're going to be able to access a lawyer to go out there and launch a lawsuit against WASA. Why must they do that? None of the evidence, this is what the judge said, none of the evidence adduced by the defendant was able to weaken the claimant's case that her house had been destroyed by water leaking onto her property by the defendant's water main, the judge said. Describing WASA's evidence was of little or no value. Wow. Now, here's the thing that I find to be an insult on top of this. You all heard what the judge said there, right? You all heard that the judge buffed up WASA for taking this matter to trial. The Privy Council, quite out there in England, they buffed up WASA for appealing and taking these matters to trial. If you are doing this, fix it. Don't force people to go through all of this. And then here's our Minister of Public Utilities. Gonzalez tells disgruntled WASA clients sue if they have claims. Minister of Public Utilities Marvin Gonzalez yesterday suggested that members of the public who they believe they have legitimate cases for damages against WASA should seek legal counsel and initiate action. His comment follows a High Court ruling on Monday that awarded 11 right, etc. Speaking to the media at the Ministry of Public Utilities inaugural Caribbean Regional Conference on Water Laws, Gonzalez said, "I want to assure the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, but if you believe that you have a claim of right to against the authority for any damage that could have been done as a result of negligence on the part of the authority, that they should speak to the legal counsel and pursue whatever theme that is right." Now, he is right. He is correct. If you feel you have a legal claim against WASA, you should litigate, you should sue. By all means, he's right. But you're the line minister for this authority. You're the line minister for this company. When you say something like this, it nearly seems like you're being negligent to the duties of WASA. That could nearly seem what it's being like. To me, if I'm thinking as a sensible grown human being here, and the authority that I am in charge of is having problems where they're damaging people's property. My statement in that isn't going to be, you all should sue that company. My statement to that should be that, one, we're looking into these issues to ensure that they never happen again. Two, we should be following up on anyone with real issues where you should not have to litigate the matter, just as the High Court judge just said. The High Court judge just told WASA, you should not have allowed this to reach the point of litigation. This should not have reached to the court. So if someone has a legitimate complaint, WASA should be dealing with this complaint. WASA should have investigators able to go out there and investigate whether they were indeed at fault, what would the cost be if they were at fault, and pay the people for that. Why must the people sue you for this? Why must you tangle people's lives up inside of the court system for something that you know you are guilty of? And then the line minister, who is supposed to be responsible for making sure this all runs smoothly, instead of assuring people that he would look into making sure it runs better, he says, no, sue us. And here's how that is a double insult on all sides. Here's how that's a double insult on all sides. On the side of the customers who have the problems with WASA, that's creating stress for you. Lawsuits are stressful. Even if you win them, they are still stressful. It's like an accident. If you get in an accident and you weren't the cause of the accident, it's still stress. Even if the other person is going to fully fix your vehicle with no extra payment on your side, it's still going to be stressful. It's a stressful matter. So on the side of the complainers, it's going to be stressful to go through the litigation procedure. But then on the side of us, the taxpayers, who are the same complainers, let's not forget the people complaining about what WASA is doing are the same people who pay taxes, which funds WASA at the same time. When the lawsuit is filed against WASA and WASA has to defend this lawsuit, well, they don't have to defend the lawsuit, but WASA chooses to defend this lawsuit. They take our same taxpayers' dollars and give it to lawyer friends to defend a losing lawsuit that makes no sense. It's like money laundering for lawyers. Trinidad is a paradise for lawyers' money laundering. That's what it feels like. Like so many of the organization and authorities and companies and public institutions in Trinidad, they're there solely with the purpose of making sure the lawyers in Trinidad get as rich as possible. Because that's what that seems like to me. What are you talking about? Sue them. No, solve the matter. If you are at fault, solve it. The view says, instead of encouraging them to sue, can they not settle amicably and fairly? Yes, that's what I would think. Issa Ho says, correct, it's really like money laundering. It is. It is. So the taxpayers have to pay the attorneys for WASA. But then when WASA loses those cases, that 2 million that they might eventually pay to the lady in Laventille, that I am not begrudging the lady, by all means, pay Tanti. Tanti, live up your best life. I hope, well, in reality, 2 million is not that big of a house in modern times. Just by the way, 2 million basically getting you a general middle class house. 2 million is not that much money when you're talking housing. But Tanti, get through. I not begrudging the lady that. But that 2 million comes from taxpayers. The WASA executives that made the decision to carry this to court, they aren't paying the 2 million. The people who ignored the complaints about the leaking mean in the first place back in 2000 or in 1990, whatever, when it started leaking, those people aren't going to pay that 2 million. That 2 million is coming out of WASA's coffers, and whenever WASA goes broke, you know, when WASA goes knocking, National Treasury, we need some more money. Good night, Tony the Ambassador. You got through with the number and all of that, sir? I hope you got through. Jaron VC, I see you jumping in there, Jaron. Yes, so I dropped the Uganda video just as you requested. You requested Uganda and you got it. Was it the very next day as your request, sir? Windows of Heaven Spa Collection says, instead of doing what's right, they prefer to give people a runaround and stress them out. Exactly. And And the reality is, if you are not at a certain level, generally speaking, you might not even know the first step to litigate. I wonder how many common people in Trinidad and Tobago know even the first step, how to start a litigation matter against WASA. You know what they're going to very likely have to do there? Look for a lawyer's office, go into the lawyer's office, and be at the total mercy of the scruples of that lawyer. That lawyer could tell them nearly anything, take their money, rub them blind, and they have no idea. Because the line minister in charge of WASA, instead of making sure WASA isn't mashing up people's houses, is saying, sue me, bro. Yeah. It really, to me, that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. When I think about that and how you would expect a government to run these things, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Instead of fixing the matter, sue me, bro. And sue me without, when it's not even your money. Sue me and it's not even your money. I have to call tomorrow. What's a litigation by definition? A lawsuit. Litigation is the process of taking legal action. The process of taking legal action is litigation. To litigate means to take legal action. All right. And I saw, to me, for once, I'll say for once, a positive criticism from the opposition. MP criticizes comment from Public Utilities Minister. An opposition MP has criticized comments made by Public Utilities Minister Marvin Gonzalez following a court ruling against WASA. The authority was ordered to pay something. Yesterday, the minister said that. Princestown MP Barry Padarath criticized the advice to seek legal advice, saying the minister should instead focus on addressing WASA's failing infrastructure. He added that while there has been talk for the past few years about restructuring the authority to improve efficiency and delivery, this has not materialized. The MP also believes that as line minister for WASA, Mr. Gonzalez should assess the approach being taken by WASA for claims of negligence, seek legal advice, and work with the company to resolve these matters and address the root causes in other instances to avoid a recurrence. Thank you, Mr. Barry Padarath. Like, how hard is that? How hard is that? To me, exactly what you said there was precisely what Mr. Gonzalez was supposed to do. He should assess the approach being taken by WASA for claims of negligence. So the current approaches that WASA has when they're taking these claims of negligence. What is the approach right now? And the thing is, I remember the conversation I had with the CEO of TTME, and don't worry, the conversations aren't stopped. We're waiting on some improved equipment to continue, but yes, conversations are in train. But the last conversation I had with the CEO of the TTME, and that was a point that we were talking about, really and truly. A lot of what the government does in Trinidad and Tobago shows that we have a misguided view of what the government is supposed to be there for. What is the purpose of the government? The government is there to make laws. The main purpose of our government in our governmental structure is to write and pass laws. So they're supposed to be looking at the legal structure of things to make sure that the legal structure of things line up with the culture of our nation, line up with the present modern technology that we have, with the present access to information, with the present science and data as it shows. All of that, that's what the government is supposed to be balancing. Not talking Morvillang nonsense on political platforms and she said back and forth. That's not really your job. Isaho says, you know, you're the first person I've heard talking about it. It's like nobody cares. You could wonder. John VC says, yes, you all talked about the laws pertaining to importing beef from Uruguay. Yeah. Where it's in Trinidad and Tobago currently, we can't import beef from most of the countries in South America. Legally, it's illegal for us to import beef from most of the countries in South America because of something that happened in the 1970s, foot and mouth disease breakout or something like that, and they banned some beef from the South American countries. And up till now, we haven't changed that. So we have to be importing beef from Australia and all kind of nonsense like that instead of right there, because our legislators, the people who we have hired to write the laws, review the laws, make sure the laws make sense, they're out there doing nonsense instead of actually reviewing those laws. Tony the Ambassador, something I remember you said, when I was complaining about my ticket last week, you told me that the laws, some of these traffic laws, were in response to Arrive Alive lobbying for them, and that, I think, is something people need to understand in the first place. When you're asking for the government to write laws, be sure what you're asking for. Be sure, because many of these people, they aren't making sure that these things are fine-tuned. So be sure you know what you're asking for. But nonetheless, even if it is that they were doing these things to increase the traffic safety, shouldn't the government be reviewing these things, fine-tuning these things? They come with a big inspection law. Okay, inspection, and just throw that out there and we never look back at it again. No, your job is to constantly be evaluating these things, seeing if it needs to be tweaked. Okay, what does the population see? Has the data changed? Does the data still show that what we thought was dangerous in 1970 is still dangerous in 2023? If that is not the case, then maybe we should be changing some of these laws. But instead of changing the laws, nope. Let's go just live it up. Open a community center here, make a big project there, and play the fool. Involve the government in the economy way more than the government needs to be involved in the economy, and then be surprised when the government is incapable of doing those economic movements. Problem is, we set up things and wait 50 years to change it. Correct, but that isn't, a lot of that isn't on the population, really and truly. That is literally the job of the government. The job of parliamentarians would be to evaluate these laws and look at them to see if they make sense. I am of the belief, to me, no government, and I think this should be nearly global, but nearly no law should be present in the law books for over 10 years. Like, each law has a sunset clause for 15 years or something like that, where in order for a law to still remain on the law books, every 15 years, it needs to be reevaluated, and everyone in Parliament needs to vote on this again to make sure it remains in the law books. No way should there be laws from 1950 still on our law books, and no one is reevaluating it for it to make sense, but it's still there. Coleman Corp says, it's people, i.e. the electorate, that holds the government accountable. Well, technically yes, technically no, because in Trinidad and Tobago, you can't really hold the government accountable to the true extent. What you could do, and that's according to where you live, if you happen to live in one of the swing districts in Trinidad and Tobago, you could decide to vote for PNM or UNC and push it one or the other way. That's about the only accountability that you could force on any one of the parliamentarians in Trinidad and Tobago. There's literally nothing else you could do. What else are you going to do legally? We're talking within the legal scope here. What else are you going to do to force them to be accountable? If you live in a safe seat, then there's literally nothing you could do. You can't vote to change anything in your safe seat there. It's not going to change, and they will remain in governance. And it's not going to kick out the PNM, it's not going to kick out the UNC. You may be able to just switch and exchange between one of the two. Yep, every generation, about 20 years or so. Yes, Steph Ali, I believe that all laws should have a sunset clause. When we pass this law, within 20 years, the law goes obsolete and falls off the law books. So we'd have to re-evaluate it and know where in 20 years if we still believe that this law should be standing on our law books. Tony the Ambassador says, I think what needs to happen is we need to lobby more for changes to be made and not leave it up to the government to decide what to change and when. I agree. That's why I'm talking right now. And don't think I only talk here. I talk to many people. I get phone numbers and I am attempting to do things. For example, this same inspection thing, I'm going to attempt to push that as far as I can. Not just for the sake of not paying a ticket because I may have to pay it anyway, but for the sake of making sense of this. Seeing okay, something affected me here. Let me see how far I can push this to attempt to make sensible change in the country. See who I could have a discussion with to attempt to make change. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to follow it as far as it can. Kaliman says exactly, you vote them out. That's accountability. You give or take power from them. Kaliman Co-op, you see, the thing is in Trinidad and Tobago, what do you mean vote them out? Who do you vote out? Okay, let's look at this realistically. There is no viable possibility in Trinidad and Tobago of anyone else beside UNC or PNM winning an election presently. So, you as an individual, as one person, all you have is one vote. Let's say you don't like what the PNM is doing. If you live in any PNM safe seat, regardless of where and how you vote, it's inconsequential. There's nothing you could do to vote them out. You vote out in Trinidad and Tobago, we vote out people as a country. You can't vote out somebody. We, the country, have to vote out people. And then nonetheless, the way how politics generally goes by history in Trinidad and Tobago, it's not even everyone. If you want to have a say in who is voted in and out in Trinidad politics, go live St. Joseph, go live Mayaro, go live Bonaire, go live Dabadi, go live those kind of areas, a swing district where it could actually make sense and it goes one way or the other. But if you're in any of the other safe seats, sir, your vote doesn't matter in holding anyone accountable. You could vote, you could not vote, you could sleep through the day. It really is inconsequential. Good evening, Kervon. J. Chris says, when you pay it with 10 cents. Nathan is the only man who had stocks in both cement and flour a year ago. Lol. Good, I wish. Lizzie would have taken care of us. Not even that, you need to motivate the people who sit on the fence. Yeah. But as I said, in Trinidad and Tobago, like, politics is an illusion of choice. It's an illusion of choice when you think about it. The politics that we have set up here, it's like, okay, you know, in democratic politics, we choose who our leaders are. But do we? Like, okay, if you want Nathan Springer to be your leader in Trinidad and Tobago, can you choose Nathan Springer to be your leader? Do you have any choice in that matter? Hey, Roni! It's been a while, Roni. It's been a while. Joel Chow says to Nathan, what do you think would create tangible change in our politics? What do I think would create tangible change in our politics? A change in culture in Trinidad and Tobago. That's one. A change in culture in Trinidad and Tobago where we do not see politics in the same way. We have to change how we view politics in the first place, how we view politicians. An uprising, J. Chris, I think an uprising would work. Yes, you would see changes, but I think you would see negative changes. The problem with uprisings are that if we have an uprising right now, yes, you might get rid of the present UNC, you might get rid of the present PNM, but almost all the time, if you think about it like this, who are the kind of people that come out on top out of chaos? If you throw everyone into a prison and leave anarchy and chaos there, who is going to be the leader at the end? Who do you think is going to be the leader at the end of the chaos? Very likely the most dangerous, scary the most dangerous, scary sociopath or psychopath in the mix. That's who is going to end up as the leader. That's the problem with the whole uprising business. The uprisings generally end up out of the pot and straight into the fire. That's why you aim much less for revolutions and more for reform. Not revolution, but reform. That's what you want. Not revolution, but reform. And reform really and truly is a cultural change. If you want reform, you want cultural change. And that's what I'm doing. When people keep asking me what do you do? What I'm doing here, I am hoping that this is what we do. This is what we do. Hopefully we could talk to people enough so that people stop looking at politics as just this, this is the solution. This is how we help Trinidad. We have to vote for the right one. It's not the PNM and UNC, but this new guy is going to come in. We have to vote for this new guy and give him the power. No. None of them would solve it. None of them have the solution. If we have the ability, we want to strip power away from them and never fall for the illusion that they are the ones who have the solution. That's what gives them more and more power. As you give them less and less power, you are generally the ones much more able to solve most of the problems in and around you. Crime could, yes, if we had honest police and an honest police force and honest politicians, crime would be much easier to stop it, Nisi. Much easier to prosecute. But if you had a cultural change where there were more fathers in homes, if you had a cultural change where families, where women saw it fit to only reproduce with men who want to hang around, where the family unit was more together, if you had that cultural change, then crime would go down. Yes, the law enforcement is able to get a hold on crime if they were honest, but also it's a cultural issue too. Stop it. Yeah, let's not go down. Let's not go down there. Let's not. You see, I am not of that belief, and I find so waste man is a catalyst for crime. Yes. Listen, crime is caused by fatherlessness. That's a generalization, but it's true. If every child spends time daily with their biological father, there would be very little crime. Plain fact. Plain fact. Yes, I see Trinidad. I saw that article, Trinidad joining some law case for the guns. You know, it's not the people, it's the guns. But as the great philosopher said, guns don't kill people, people kill people. Let's see if I could pull up that article there. TNT joins Mexico's anti-gun lobby in the United States. TNT has officially signed on to Mexico's legal challenge, which seeks to hold private U.S. gun manufacturers to account for their part in creating a flow of arms and ammunition to the region. Other CARICOM countries, including Jamaica, the Bahamas, and Antigua and Barbuda, have already signed on to the case, which is being pursued in the U.S. courts as well. I think the case is ridiculous, personally. I personally think it's laughable. I think it's asinine. I think it makes no sense. And they have already lost the first phase of this case. Mexico tried this before and they already lost. And now they're trying to do it again. The Mexican complaint, it said, centered on whether the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, which protects gun manufacturers from civil liability if their products are used in the commission of a crime, extends to harms caused by the criminal use of weapons in Mexico. So in the United States, there's a law protecting gun manufacturers from being sued if their weapon is used in a crime, and that makes sense. If a gun manufacturer makes a weapon, it's not their fault if someone uses the weapon to kill someone. You must understand, oh, Kalimo, you must understand, if you allow this, then someone who has a child who was depressed and ingested lanate or ingested gramazone, they could sue the producers of lanate and gramazone. They could sue those producers for the harm caused. It does not make sense. You don't sue the producers of a tool for what the users of the tool use the tool for. Kilvon says, I'm concerned with us joining this. AMLO is a socialist friendly with other powers. Yes, I know. And that's it's ridiculous. Tony the ambassador says if that case succeeds, it would be the end of most manufacturing companies. Listen, that wouldn't succeed. The United States talks anti-gun as much as they like to talk anti-gun, but many gun manufacturers donate a lot of money to the right people. I don't think that case is really going to go anywhere. I think it's ridiculous on the face. But I think if you're saying something like this, then you should be suing the fathers. Any criminal, find the father and sue him. It makes more sense to sue the fathers of any young man found in crime. Sue his father makes more sense than suing the gun manufacturer. The father of that young man is more responsible for that young man being in crime than the gun manufacturer is. It's also not in our interest considering the trade license with Venezuela. But the thing is, though, curve on, I don't think it would be too much of an issue because the present government in the United States is the Democrats. And the Democrats, by and large, lean more anti-gun. So I don't think they would punish Trinidad and Tobago for taking an anti-gun stance. I don't think even the Democrats being anti-gun, I don't think they would want a case like that to succeed, but it would be in their best political interest to at least talk like if they enjoy something like this. Like, this case makes sense. You see, those Caribbean countries and Mexico, they are feeling the brunt of the gun crime. So I don't think we would face much risk in Trinidad for something like that in the present context. America isn't anti-guns. Well, America isn't necessarily all pro-guns. It's according to where you go. Chicago has about the kind of gun laws that we have. New York has about the kind of gun laws that we have. Most of the states led by the Democrats have similar gun laws to Trinidad and Tobago. If you listen to most Democrats in the United States, they are closer to the opinion of the Trinidadians, of Trinidad politicians, of British and European politicians on their view on guns. It's the right-wing side of the United States that generally has the US more free on that gun view. Coleman says it makes sense to sue someone who is broke and can't even pay child support. Laugh. You can't sue absent fathers. I know you can't. But I'm saying it makes more sense in terms of whose fault it is, in terms of the liability there. The fault there is the fathers for the most part. Women should control their fertility / men too, but women more so. I live in the US. I'm not sure what's the consequence of that, but yeah, all states don't stand the same on gun laws. I suppose if you're living in the US, you would be aware of that. The laxness or tightness of gun laws from state to state varies greatly. So you could be in one of the Virginias with more lax gun laws and drive over to New Jersey with more tight gun laws, and you could have had a gun in your car in Virginia and be very much okay cross the state border into New Jersey. And there have been many cases in the United States like that, and you end up in jail in New Jersey for a crime because the law from state to state changes like that. So yeah, but yeah, I don't think that makes sense. As I said, I think for the majority of the fault for crime, when you look at it, is on fatherless homes. You look at statistically, double parent homes keep children out of prison at the same rate as single father homes keep children out of prison. You know, when you think about it like that, in that case, just as I was talking about with the purpose of governance, the purpose of legislators are to look at laws to make sure they continue making sense, to make sure that they still fit in with the modern paradigm. Well, the kind of default we have of giving children in family custody battles to the mother, because the mother is the nurturing parent, so of course the mother gets default custody of the children. Well, statistically now it's being shown that single fathers keep children out of prison at the same rate as a two-parent household, while it's single mothers struggle to keep children out of prison. And that's not a knock against mothers, but it's just a reality in the differing of parental roles. And if that's the case, then are we sure that we want to keep defaulting to give maternal parental authority? Are we sure that's the default we want? Custody always defaults to the mother? Maybe at a certain age, after a certain age, that default should probably go the next direction. If we're looking at this from a societal point of view, because these laws are supposed to be made from a societal view, from a bird's eye view. We're not looking at this necessarily from the individual view. Yes, you and your marriage has broken up, and that's terrible for you and your family. Yes. But we don't care about the individuals. Here, we're looking to make laws that will benefit the society. To benefit the society, we want less people in jail. We want less people in difficult family situations. And if single fathers are the way for that, are we asking the right questions? Are we making the right laws? Legitimate question I have. I have to grab a charger. 5 seconds. I'll be right back. You see it now reach 5. No. I was seated by 5. I was seated by 5. Don't try that one, Jaron. I think your connection might be sticking. You might have a little lag there, Jaron. You might have a little lag. No. You have a little lag. It's on your side. You have a little lag. You have a little lag. You lag. I think you had a little lag there. I was back by 5. We need more male judges in the family court. Ooh, you're speaking now. Here's the thing, Kevon. Presently, legally, our legal framework, the legal framework of the West, has it that male and females are treated as the same. But if we are not the same, should the legal framework be set up in a way that treats us as the same? If men and women are indeed different, should there be weighted hiring in certain fields based on gender? Now, I'm a teacher. I teach, right? With that note, all of this is usually sponsored by MindFULL Education. MindFULL with 2Ls_education. If you're looking for us over on Instagram, you could go follow us there. We offer learning pods, which are homeschool style classes, small classes, 6 students and less, with that more intimate, more comfortable learning where students are able to get to push much faster and be more they know each other and they know their tutor more. So that's the intention of those learning pods. We offer those from preschool going all the way up to CXC. If you're interested in those, getting to contact with us. We also have private tutoring for all subjects and for primary school going all the way up. If you're interested in those, you could feel free to contact us. But yes, as a teacher, something I recognized a long time ago: children respond differently to male and female teachers, especially some of those disruptive boys. There are some disruptive boys in schools that are way more disruptive under a female teacher than they would be under a male teacher. I remember back in my day, in certain primary schools, when they had the A, B, C, and D class, you could have sworn wrong. I am many things. But I'm many things. I teach privately, by the way, not in any public school. When there were the A, B, C, and D classes in many of those primary schools, you ever noticed that the C and D classes were always taught by male teachers? Steph Ali says family court is trash in the West. There no incentive for men marrying because they're punished when divorced. Yes, that's true. The breakdown of the structure of marriage has helped to create some of this nonsense that we have right now. But yeah, Kevon, you remember that, right? I remember from that millennial era. I am a millennial. I remember from that millennial era when we had the A, B, C, and D classes. And I also remember many people kicking up a real fuss about that because how could you separate students? Like, how dare you separate some students? You know, you saying that some students are A worthy and some students are just D worthy. And the thing is, that made so much perfect sense. That made so much perfect sense. Listen, there are some students that will just disrupt each other if you put them all together. If you put them all together, you are going to get worse results for all students involved. I think that made perfect sense. You separate them because some students have different problems, granted. And then you have those C and D classes, and you have the male, strong, stern teachers that could hold on tight to those classes. They are the ones teaching those classes. But no, that was discriminatory. You know, how dare you discriminate against students? You know, all students are equal. All of these lovely, beautiful children are all God's children and created equal. And you know, we must treat them all as equal. So we mustn't have that. And why must the male teachers only teach those classes? You know, we mustn't just leave that. No. We have female and any. And then bam, you notice that it doesn't work the same anymore. You notice it doesn't work the same anymore. I was disruptively the smartest. Kevin says the B, C, and D class were taught by men. Yep. Well, in some of the schools that I remember, the B classes sometimes had a female teacher too. And it makes sense. It makes sense. I know of a student right now, and he is in a school, and his parents are upset when he changes and goes from a male teacher to a female teacher, because they see, well, at least this is what they tell me. They tell me they see it in his schoolwork when he doesn't have that male teacher. And I'm talking about a child like in standard 2 or something like that. He went from a male teacher to a female teacher, then a male teacher again, and then a female teacher again. And they said every time he switches to a female teacher, they see it in his schoolwork. What you gonna do about that? And you know, the strange thing is, and I say this regularly, this is something that I've spoken about before. If statistically we see that the fathers, that paternal, that male, that masculine authority figure is generally what helps to keep men and young men out of crime, out of violence, out of misbehavior, what do you think happens to a generation of young men who already are coming from the disadvantage of single mother homes without fathers regularly there? Then they enter preschool, and in preschool, it's 99.99% female teachers. Then they go to primary school. Primary school is probably 90% female teachers. Then they go to secondary school. Secondary school is probably 75% female teachers. And throughout their entire school life, it's just women. And again, this isn't a knock on women, because I'm sure, I am 100% certain, if there was a generation of young people growing up with only exposure to their fathers and no exposure to their mothers, we'd have seen another angle of lack in society. We'd have seen another area falling apart, obviously, because mothers have an important role to play. But we're seeing what is happening when we're seeing from the angle of fathers falling out of the society. Jaron says, I had a female teacher who was more feared than the male. Yeah. There are some. I know some female teachers who by far were the most feared teachers. Issa Ho says, I've seen personally children with learning and physical disabilities respond to males differently. I score higher with female teacher. Well, interesting, Jaron. Issa Ho says, many times we have to call even a maintenance man to get the child to do what they have to do. Coleman Co-op says his parents does also walk inside backwards when they go home at night. Coleman Co-op, so you think it's superstitious to believe that a child responds differently to a male teacher and a female teacher? You think that's superstition? And you're trying to tell me that parents noticing how much of a child's notes from the day he finishes, how often he doesn't finish work, how often he has no interest in doing the homework, you're trying to tell me they won't notice a difference like that? And I don't mind getting controversial. I don't mind getting controversial. If you want to see something that's interesting, check how many dangerous dog trainers are male and how many are female. How many dog trainers? Trainers in training dog discipline. I don't know how many of you are into that kind of dog canine world. How many of you are into the canine world? And do you know trainers around? How many trainers are male? How many women trainers do you know? Kevon says it's not even about the men being more strict. It's a natural dynamic. Children sense hierarchies. That's why I'm bringing up the dog trainers, because I've been into dogs for a while, and you notice certain things even in dog training. I don't even understand why these things are difficult to understand, really and truly. Stuff Ali says, who wants to train dogs anyway? There's a lot of money in it also. There's a lot of money in training dogs. But I don't think these things should be difficult to understand. Males and females have different tones of voices. You could tell a male voice over the phone from a female voice. That means literally your brain reads the voices different. The reason you could hear the difference in the voices is because your brain reads the voices differently. Do you think your brain reads the voices differently and has no difference in response to the voices? Noticing something is empirical evidence. Noticing something is empirical evidence, but not fact. Kaliman Cop, what are you saying there? Something could be empirical evidence, but not a fact. What do you consider a fact? What's your definition of fact here? When you say fact, what do you mean? What do you mean when you say fact? I'm not sure what you're talking about here. What's your meaning of fact? Pleasant greetings, John Christom over there on YouTube also, you know, now seeing it there. I'm waiting on your answer, Kaliman. What do you think a fact is? Because I don't understand how you could say something could be empirical evidence, but not a fact. Because that's kinda that's kinda what it means. Empirical means something that could be observed, something that could be seen. Fact means something that is proven. Generally proven by being observed. So I'm not totally sure what you're getting at there. I'm not totally sure what you're getting at there. I really don't know. Tony the Ambassador, I don't think I've ever seen a female trainer. Exactly. Neither have I. I don't think I've ever once seen a female dog trainer. Never seen for dogs. There are some female horse trainers. Yes, there are female horse trainers, and that's a different kind of thing, because probably some of the masculinity might work in a horse, because you can't bully a horse. Bro, you can't outman the horse. Stallions are called stallions for reasons. You aren't a stallion, you're a man. You're a mere man. That's a stallion. Bat in your crease. Rub the horse's back, massage him and tell him he's a good boy. that might be some of the difference in horse training to dog training, I think. Stephanie says, yes, you have a point. Your brain senses songs, tunes, etc. Fact is based on empirical evidence. That's what I thought, Stephanie. So I am a bit confused as to what Kaliman Corp is seeing there. I am a bit confused. How could something be empirical and not a fact? Like, it's kind of, you know, one is the same. All right, let's see what else was in the news recently. What else was in the news recently? Oh, I saw that the president gave an interview there, and in her interview she showed that basically she watched almost all of the comments on social media. We see teaching as mothering, as a mothering type career. Yeah, teaching is more generally a more female oriented thing, but that's understandable. One of the biggest differences between males and females generally, and Mr. Kaliman Corp, this is empirical, so it might be factual. One of the biggest differences between males and females is females are generally more interested in people, and males are generally more interested in things. Thus, if you are interested in people, you would be more interested in careers like teaching and nursing, etc., etc. While if you're interested in things, you'd be more interested in careers like engineering, for example, and the many different fields of engineering per se. I think he means statistics isn't always fact, because they can be junk statistics. I agree with that, Stephanie. All statistics aren't factual, because you could manufacture statistics too. You could ratch studies, you could push studies to your own way. So yeah, statistics should always be taken with some heaping scoops of salt. All right. It's closing in on 11 o'clock, people. Any further comments or questions before I dive out on this lovely Monday evening? In recent years, we now have alternative facts. Hey, Kevon, I feel as time progresses, the idea of alternative facts is going to be beating humanity over our head over and over and over. You see this AI ability? AI is going to be able to create things that are so tangentially close to factual that it would be nearly impossible to distinguish them. So like people are worried about AI, about someone taking AI and faking some massive incident or something. That to me isn't the worst, you know. That to me isn't the worst. The worst is someone taking AI and making a speech from Dr. Rowley where he says that one of the industries is closing down, something like that. Some kind of just a little shade different. Or take the American president and say just a little twist on a statement towards Russia. Whew, problems. And then how are we even going to know the start of some things? Because we don't know the word for word account of every old thing. AI could be capable of going back to a historical event, writing it over, just changing it shadedly different, and we would be unable to tell the difference. What would happen when more and more articles are written by AI, so there aren't any people to verify these articles are factual? You don't know if the AI is just creating a reality for you out of the blue. And I don't think necessarily that the AI is going to go rogue and take over and rule on its own. No, it's the people who are programming the AI that I'm worried about. Those guys who are programming the AI, yeah, those are the ones that I'm worried about. Yeah, it could set off a real mad situation. Yep. Facts are going to be very hard to distinguish. If AI could run 1,000,000 possibilities and come back with an answer that is as close to the correct answer as possible, but the wrong answer, And the only way we could have told the right answer anyway was depending on the AI. Whew. 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 That's going to be problems. All right, people, it was nice. It was nice. It was nice. This has been the Mindful Life. Mindful Life 202. I will see you guys again for the next Mindful Life, which is going to be tomorrow evening around that 9:30 p.m. time. Be sure to tune in then. I will join you all and we'll be here again to discuss different news events, different information. If you are not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, you can head over to Nathan Spring over there on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, catch those videos that regularly drop out there. And I will see you guys later. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. I am Nathan Springer. This has been the Mindful Life. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace, peace, peace. Hold it down. Stay safe. Laters.